People are capable of changing. Being one way for most of our lives does not mean that we cannot be another way. Let's face the mirror and see what we can change in ourselves today. Hello and welcome to Navigate with Kalpana. Today I want to discuss the disservice that education, role models and stereotypes can do to us. Our innate personality and attributes can be suppressed for years till something, usually a crisis, happens to encourage a breakthrough to allow personal change. A bright, hardworking, intelligent boy loved his parents dearly and wanted to please them. Family life at that time was unsettled and the young child could not figure out what was going on. His parents seemed to be unhappy and preoccupied. As with many young children, he began to wonder if he had displeased his parents in any way. He made up his mind to work hard at school, bring home good grades, and keep the parents happy. Before he knew it, he had finished school, applied to the premier institutions, qualified as an engineer, then the best business schools. With a good job, it was as if he was on the highway to heaven. When the dot-com phase started, he too, like many bright young men, left a corporate job to be part of a startup. His did not take off, as did the business of many of his contemporaries. He lost the assignment and with it the will to live. After many hours in therapy, the man realized that it was no longer his responsibility to keep his parents together. He realized that he had never had the opportunity to seek his own passions, explore his interests. He had become part of the crocodile even though he had no teeth for it. He understood that business did not suit his temperament, even if he had all the right qualifications. He did not have to walk down the path of his peers. Once he saw himself as someone who was a round peg in a square hole, he ceased to think of himself as a failure. This awareness liberated him from feelings of insecurity, frustration, and depression. Today, he is looking for a workplace where he would be a better fit. Another career mismatch occurred with a specialized doctor I knew years ago. After being in the operation theatre, assisting in complex surgeries, she chose to follow her heart and trained to be a psychotherapist and work with underprivileged people. One of her most excited and memorable phone calls to me was to let me know that she had been invited to conduct a greeting card workshop for underprivileged girls from a nearby village. Often, men and women are given a template for the best versions of themselves. To put it in very simplistic terms, for men, it is to be well qualified and hardworking. For women, it is to be beautiful and obedient. This cookie-cutter blueprint does not fit all. I know a man who was never good at schoolwork. His sterling qualities, patience, gentleness, compassion, and kindness were swept aside because of his non-performance in the work earned space. His wife, it was an arranged marriage, was beautiful and dutiful. Theirs was a better relationship. Never had she imagined that one day she would be the primary income earner of their family of 4. The more successful she was in work life, the more he withdrew into himself. He felt the whole world was mocking him, when really the person who hated him the most was himself. Unlike the earlier young engineer, he had no leg to stand on when his wife and children left him. Everyone around him, including himself, lost sight of his good qualities. I have often thought that had he been born a woman, his life would have been a success. She would have been loved and respected, or role model to all. As a man, these same qualities were finding no favor. Unhappy people can change their personalities once they realize who, why, and what they have become. A timid, frightened single mother came to see me. She was so timid she could barely raise her voice enough to be heard. After meeting me for well over a year, she moved on to a different city, and it became necessary to consult with another therapist. She came back to me to complain about the other therapist, how she did not know her job, how she had missed many cues. She blushed when I commented that she was the boss of her therapist, so unlike the scared, nervous person who had walked into my clinic less than 2 years ago. People are capable of changing. We can change. Being one way for most of our lives does not mean that we cannot be another way. Life has a way of knocking us on the head and forcing change down our throats. Sometimes an awareness of who we are can be enough of an incentive for us to be a different way. It may not be what family and friends approve of or even understand, but as long as we are ready to walk the path with courage and fortitude, it will unfold before us. How can we support others on their journey to change? Do we resent them? Do they make you angry? Who is stopping you? Look into the mirror. What about you? Do you want to change?